2020. It's a new year for the Giants. They got a whole new coaching staff. Daniel Jones' first year as a full-year starter. Let's talk about him. Do you see an improvement when it comes to, let's say, less interceptions or less fumbles this year? Is there some sort of improvement you've seen so far in training camp?
Well, I think the biggest, the most obvious improvement I first noticed was he looks like he bulked up over the off season. He put on a lot of muscle. Last year he did kind of look like this young kid that was just coming in out of college. And now he looks like he's put a lot more work into his body. And I think that will help him, overall. But I also think, too, the one thing that's really good about him is, coming from Duke, where he also had kind of a shaky offensive line, he's not watching the pass rush. He's watching, he's going through his progressions. He's looking at his receivers, even when dudes are running right at him. And so, yeah, he gets hit a lot, but his eyes are where they need to be. And I think that's a good starting point for him. So I don't know. Again, this is different because we don't have preseason games. We're watching them play against, blue versus white offense versus defense type of a thing. So it's really tough to tell at this point, especially, very young offensive line, new coaching staff, very run heavy. Jason Garrett's offense, of course, focusing on the run, which is going to be good for Saquon. Of course, people talking about that ad nauseum, but,
right.
And I think, Wayne Gallman, too, somebody people aren't really talking about, but he's really flashed in training camp this year, too. And he's, been on this roster for a few years and has had its moments. And so I do think that there will be a just natural improvement for Daniel Jones because he's somebody that he puts a lot of effort into his craft and growing and getting better. So I think it would be hard to think that it wouldn't improve. And it's not going to be like he's going to go from that to Patrick Mahomes or something like that, but it's going to take time. But I think he's in a good spot.
I think when the focus is going to be majority on Barkley for the offense, a lot of pressure is to be taken off Jones in general. Do you think that's going to be a huge benefit for him for the 2020 season, maybe beyond?
I do too, and I also think that, Darius Slayton being healthy this year, last year he kind of started off with that hamstring issue, and then towards the tail end of last season, him and Daniel Jones had a really good chemistry on the field, and they also have a really good relationship off the field. It's kind of endearing. So I think that kind of carrying over is going to be good because he's got a lot of trust in his receivers, it seems, and with that pressure being off of him and with Saquon being kind of a focal point, like you said, it will be interesting, but it's also very hard to, at this point, just really make any sort of assessment or statement because everything looks great in training camp. You remember, you were there, you see it, how oh man, this team looks like they could win a Super Bowl, and then they play against somebody else, and that's when you really see what they look like.